So slow today. We really struggled on pace.
Struggling, so we've got to work and try to understand what's going on there.
Degradation was really high.
Yeah, I've been struggling a lot.
Much worse than anticipated.
Lewis Hamilton crossed the line 26 seconds behind the race winner in a car that just won in Spain 2 weeks ago.
And I told the team, they said it's going to be a two-stop, and I was like, I don't think it's a two-stop today. I don't think I'm going to make a two-stop work.
Before I get into what happened in Austria, I owe you an honest word. I've been away for 2 days dealing with some personal stuff. I'm back now, fully active, and we're not wasting another second. Because what Ferrari just did at the Red Bull Ring demands a proper breakdown. And this isn't just a bad Sunday. This is a story about a car that can look like a world beater one weekend and a backmarker the next. A car so sensitive that if the setup is even slightly off, the whole race falls apart. Hamilton P5, Leclerc P8, from P3 and P2 on the grid. By the way, if you want daily breakdowns like this, including the one tomorrow where we go deep on Hamilton's aggressive braking style and what it means for the rest of the season, subscribe to F1 Today right now. That's exactly what this channel is here for, the detail other people skip. Today though, we are focused entirely on Austria. What went wrong? What Hamilton, Leclerc and Fred Vasseur actually said? What the fans on Reddit are saying? And the one question nobody seems to want to answer. How does a team go from dominant to fourth fastest in 14 days? Let's get into it. From Barcelona glory to Spielberg disaster. What changed? 2 weeks ago, Lewis Hamilton stood on the top step of the podium in Barcelona. Ferrari had executed a near-perfect race. Strategy, tyre management, pace. Everything clicked. Then came Austria. Hamilton qualified third. Leclerc lined up second on the grid. On paper, this should have been a Ferrari weekend. But here is what nobody is saying yet. The problems didn't start on Sunday. They started on Friday. During the long-run simulations in FP2, Ferrari's race pace deficit to Mercedes and Red Bull was already significant. The team made overnight setup changes to improve one-lap pace, and it worked in qualifying. But those same changes raised a serious concern. What happens over 71 laps? The answer came on Sunday, and it wasn't pretty. Tomorrow, I'm covering something that connects directly to today. Lewis Hamilton's aggressive braking style and why it's become a weapon against Verstappen specifically. Subscribe so you don't miss it. From the very first lap, both drivers felt it. Hamilton described it clearly. The rear of the car was unstable. He tried to stay with the Mercedes cars in the opening stint, pushing to hold position. But every time he pushed, the rear tyres paid the price. But that was just the start. The car didn't like any of the tyres. What Hamilton and Leclerc actually said. Ferrari tried every compound Pirelli brought to Spielberg. Soft, medium, hard. None of them worked. The car didn't agree with any of the tyres, Hamilton admitted after the race. It was a tough race, really very difficult. That single quote tells you everything. This wasn't a strategy failure. This wasn't bad luck. The SF26, Ferrari's 2026 car, simply could not generate consistent tyre temperature across any compound in the hot Austrian conditions. Leclerc's description was even more alarming. I felt straight away that I didn't have much performance. In the first 2 laps, I felt like I didn't have much deployment. Deployment, that's the car's ability to release electrical energy from the ERS, the energy recovery system, which converts braking and heat energy into electrical power for the hybrid unit. Leclerc felt it stabilized eventually, but by then the damage was done. The performance just wasn't there, he said. And here is where the story turns completely. Because Leclerc also said something that should worry every Ferrari fan watching this. I don't think anyone really understands why we see such huge differences in performance from one weekend to the next. These cars are simply very sensitive. If you don't find the correct setup, you pay a huge price. That word, understands. Leclerc isn't just frustrated, He's admitting that even inside the Ferrari garage, the reasons behind this performance swing are not fully clear. 3 scenarios for Ferrari, and none of them are simple. So where does Ferrari go from here? Fred Vasseur, Ferrari's team principal, was direct in the paddock. The strategy is not the issue. The issue is that we didn't have the pace of Mercedes and Verstappen. We tried to compensate, taking risks on the strategy, but it was not a good fight. It's more a matter of pace. That's a significant admission from a team principal. He's not blaming the strategy call. He's not blaming the tyres. He's pointing at a fundamental pace deficit. And that leads us to the 3 scenarios Ferrari is now facing heading into the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Scenario 1. Austria was the anomaly. Ferrari's setup work on Friday went in the wrong direction, and the team simply paid a higher price than expected. In this scenario, Silverstone is a reset. The SF26 gets back to something closer to its Barcelona level. Leclerc and Hamilton score strong points. The title fight stays alive. Scenario 2. The power unit gap is real and widening. Former F1 driver Matteo Bobby put it bluntly to Sky Sport. Hamilton told the truth. The gap in terms of power units cannot be closed completely. Ferrari will be able to recover part of the deficit, but not all of it, because they started from too far behind. Sky Sport commentator Carlo Vanzini went further, saying there is roughly a full season of development separating Ferrari from Mercedes in engine terms. In this scenario, Austria wasn't a bad weekend, it was reality. Scenario 3. The SF26 has a fundamental sensitivity problem. This is the one Ferrari fans least want to hear. Charles Leclerc finishing 45 seconds behind the race winner wasn't just setup. It points to a car that punishes any deviation from its ideal operating window. A car that only looks fast when every variable is perfect. In a season where conditions change every weekend, that's a structural problem, not a setup one. Hamilton himself was careful but honest. Hopefully the car will be in a better place at Silverstone. Hopefully. Not confidently. Hopefully. The fans already know what Ferrari won't say. On Reddit, the F1 community has been busy. One thread taking off right now is about the Hamilton versus Leclerc dynamic inside Ferrari. Fans are pointing out that Hamilton seems to have found a setup window he can work with, while Leclerc openly describes feeling lost in race trim. Multiple posts reference F1 analyst Jolyon Palmer, former F1 driver turned Sky Sports analyst, who suggested before the Austrian weekend that Ferrari should formally back Hamilton over Leclerc for the championship. Leclerc rejected that framing directly. He's not accepting the idea that the car is being developed away from his preferences. But the numbers after Austria tell their own story. Hamilton, P5. Leclerc, P8. And 125 points to 79 in the championship. Meanwhile, the Ferrari strategy meme is back. Posts and videos mocking a team that started P2 and P3 and somehow ended up 4th fastest in race pace are everywhere. The Tifosi, Ferrari's passionate fan base, know how to laugh through the pain by now. Here is the bottom line. Austria wasn't just a bad weekend. It was a warning. A warning that the SF26's ceiling and its floor are separated by a massive gap, and Ferrari doesn't yet fully understand what moves the car between them. Silverstone is next. Hamilton says he hopes the car is better there. Leclerc says the team needs to work very hard. Vasseur says the pace has to come. The question isn't whether Ferrari can win at Silverstone. The question is whether they can explain why they lost in Austria. If this gave you a new angle on Ferrari's 2026 crisis, you'll want to be here tomorrow because we're going deep on the one thing that kept Hamilton in the fight this season when the car wasn't giving him answers, his braking style, and what it actually does to a car like Max Verstappen's. That video drops tomorrow. Subscribe so you're there when it does.